What's up YouTube? My name is Caden and you're watching Gas at Garage. In this video, we're going to be attempting to fix this Nissan 5 horsepower 2-stroke outboard engine that goes on my brother's John boat. It hasn't been running recently and I can't figure out why. So in this video, we're going to try and get this thing running again. First, we got to get this thing up onto the workbench here because this thing is very heavy. Ugh. I just brought it up from the lake, so it's still got a little bit of water in it. You got to figure out how to... Took me a second to get this thing up like that, but now we can screw this thing down onto the workbench here to work on it. This thing's not super heavy, but it's not exactly light either. It's a little bit cumbersome to deal with. Alright, I think that is good enough to work on. Alright, so now that we have this thing up here, I have cleaned the carburetor on this thing a few times, and I did get it to run like that with a clean carburetor, and I also found out it had bad gasket in it, so I replaced that and it was running just fine. But then one day we were using it and it just stopped running, so I cleaned the carburetor again, but now it won't even start at all. I did a compression test on it. It's got good compression and it has a fresh spark plug in it and it has good spark and it has a clean carburetor and fresh fuel in it, and it still won't start for some reason. So what I'm gonna start by doing is actually removing the flywheel on this engine to check if the Woodruff key for the ignition timing has been stripped. So let's go ahead and start taking off this pull cover and start popping the flywheel off of this thing. So I just took the flywheel off of this thing, and if you see right here, the key is totally fine. So it's not ignition timing, which, considering all of the other things that are not broken on this thing, we may have some bad crank seals, which I was really hoping was not the case, but it's really the only thing I can think of as to why this engine won't run, because when this was in the water on the back of the John boat, I did notice that there was always a little bit of oil in the water around where the bottom of the propeller shaft here goes down into the water. So probably the lower crankshaft seal on this thing is bad, which really sucks, and that means we have to take apart the entire bottom end of this engine. So I'm actually going to do a little bit more research on this before I go tearing this whole thing apart and ordering parts for it, but that's most likely what we're gonna have to do here. So yeah, that kind of sucks. All right, so I did a little bit more research, and after looking at it, I don't actually think that it's the crank seal. It's still possible, but after doing a little research, I don't think so anymore. I think the oil in the water could have been coming from a bad gear oil seal in the transmission on this thing, but I'm not too worried about that right now. I'm just trying to get it running. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna try and look at the reed valves on this thing, because if those aren't sealing properly, then that means the crankcase has no pressure in it, which for a 2-stroke, that means no start. So I'm gonna take this carburetor off again and see if I can actually remove the reed valves in this thing and see if those are sealing properly. Alright, so a bit of a change of plan on this engine. After opening this thing up, I noticed that there was a bolt that goes right in here, but right there it was actually broken off from the case of the engine. And the reed valves actually look fine on this thing, so I'm kind of at a loss with this engine. I can't really figure out why it's not running. The crank seals look good, and the reed valves are fine, and everything else seems to be good on this thing, but it just will not run, and I can't figure it out. And this engine has been giving us problems ever since we first got it. Like, I'll get it running and it'll run fine for a little while, and then it'll just stop running, and then it's either the carburetor or a bad spark plug or just something is wrong with it, and it just keeps not working. And now I genuinely cannot figure this out. So I'm not the kind of guy who gives up on stuff very easily, but this thing is just too much of a headache to keep dealing with. Plus there's some broken parts, and actually the shifter is broken now as well. So we're actually going to do this instead. We're going to be getting rid of this old piece of junk because I'm sick and tired of looking at it, sick and tired of working on it, and I cannot figure out what the heck is wrong with this thing to save my life. So we're going to be getting rid of this thing, and in place of it, we're going to be getting a mud motor. That is basically a Predator 212 style engine with an outboard mount and a long tail style propeller shaft on it. And hopefully we can get some more power out of it, and also we can go in shallower water because we don't have this big long thing sticking a whole foot down below the bottom of the boat. But we don't exactly have the motor yet because it's still hiding somewhere in the ever-changing depths of Facebook Marketplace. So we haven't exactly found one yet for the right price, that is, because all the other ones that I'm seeing are a little bit outside of our price range, and we're just trying to find one that's around $400 or $500, I guess. So I will be making a new video on that once we have it, but like I said, we don't have it right now. I'm just trying to get rid of this thing at this point. So that's probably gonna be it for this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, and stay tuned for the next video of this project where we should have a pretty cool mud motor to put on the John boat. Thanks for watching.